Brooklyn Nets offseason report, the youngest team in NBA history. The Brooklyn Nets are on the brink of a historic transformation this summer. As we dive into the latest updates, it's clear that the team is poised to become one of the youngest in NBA history. With the current roster shaping up, unless there are last-minute veteran signings or salary cap adjustments, the Nets could set a record not just for the franchise, but across the league. To put this into perspective, last year, Hoops Hype conducted an intriguing analysis of the ages of NBA teams throughout history, identifying the 25 youngest rosters ever. Their methodology involved calculating a weighted average based on players' ages as of February 1st, which is roughly mid-season, and considering their playing time. For instance, a 22-year-old who plays 35 minutes per game would significantly influence the average more than a 22-year-old who only plays 10 minutes. The youngest team they identified was the Houston Rockets during the 2022-23 season, boasting a weighted average age of just 22.69 years. This roster, which finished with a 22-60 record, included young talents like Jalen Green, 20, Jabari Smith, 19, and Alperen Sengun, 20, but also featured older players like Boban Marjanovic, 35, and Eric Gordon, 34. In stark contrast, the Nets currently have no players older than Terrence Mann, 28, and Michael Porter Jr., 27. Instead of just one teenager like the Rockets had, the Nets are looking at 4: Nolan Traore, Ben Seraf, Igor Demon, and Drake Powell. Remarkably, only Powell will turn 20 before the team heads to Macau for their preseason opener. According to our calculations, Traore is set to become the 4th youngest player ever to don a Nets jersey, while Seraf is likely to be the 5th. The only players who debuted at a younger age are Derek Favors in 2010 and the two 2023 first-round picks, Dariq Whitehead and Noah Clowney, who are still with the team. As we look ahead to the last week of September, when the Nets will prepare for their trip to Macau for the NBA China Games, we have compiled a list of 22 players who might be part of the roster. This includes all 10 players with standard guaranteed contracts, 4 on non-guaranteed deals, and 3 restricted free agents. We've also highlighted 2 promising Summer League players, Tyrese Samuel from Seton Hall and Grant Nelson from Alabama, along with Fanbo Zhang, a Chinese player frequently linked to the Nets. Here's how the roster shapes up by age, including Samuel and Zhang or Nelson. Traore 19, Seraf 19, Demon 19, Powell 19, Whitehead 20, Clowney 21, Wolf 21, Zhang 22, Nelson 23, Sharp 23, Thomas 23, Williams 23, Wilson 24, Evbuomwan 24, Timmy 24, Samuel 25, Etienne 25, Claxton 26, Martin 26, Porter 27, Mann 28. The Nets can bring 21 players to training camp. And with a significant portion of their cap space still available, expect changes in the coming weeks. Here's a fascinating tidbit. Among the 25 youngest teams identified by Hoops Hype, only 3 iterations of Sam Presti's Thunder made it to the playoffs. Interestingly, this year's Oklahoma City team became the 2nd youngest to win the championship, following the record-holding 1976-77 Portland Trail Blazers. So, there's always a glimmer of hope. Regarding the young Nets, it's worth noting that Dariq Whitehead will celebrate his 21st birthday next weekend, while Drake Powell will turn 20 on September 14th. However, the other 3 teenagers, Igor Demon, Ben Seraf, and Nolan Traore, won't reach the big 2-0 until after the trade deadline, with Traore's birthday falling just before the conference championships on May 28th. The Nets are also gaining traction internationally. As previously mentioned, the team ranks among the top 10 most popular NBA franchises globally, boasting over 50 million fans outside the United States. They are particularly popular in France and China, and their fan base in Israel is rapidly expanding, especially after drafting 2 Israeli players, Ben Seraf and Danny Wolf, in consecutive picks during the first round. Mark Rosentraub, a sports economics professor at the University of Michigan and Hebrew University in Jerusalem, remarked, "If you look at this year's draft picks, it's clear they've tapped into another market in Israel. One of them, Wolf, holds a special place in my heart since he was with us in Michigan. The excitement in Israel is palpable. It's surprising, yet it shouldn't be." Drafting those two young men back-to-back ignited a frenzy in Tel Aviv. The buzz was evident in the Israeli media following the draft, and it continues to grow beyond Israel. Nets podcasters have reported a noticeable increase in Israeli listeners as fans seek to learn more about the team. For instance, Pete, from the podcast Nets Fans You Know, shared that 5% of his audience for a Summer League recap came from Israel. In a subsequent episode discussing Cam Thomas, 2.5% of his viewers were also based in Israel. Before the draft, Pete noted, "I had 0 views from Israel. Now any content about Ben Siroth gets a significant boost from there." He also mentioned a rise in viewership from France, due to Nolan Traoré, and Russia, thanks to Igor Demin, although the interest from Israel stands out. Similarly, on our podcast, The Brooklyn, Colin Helwig reported that Israel ranks 5th in viewership percentage on YouTube over the last 28 days, trailing only the US, Canada, Australia, and the Philippines. Outside of that time frame, Israel didn't even make the top 20. Michael Porter Jr. has also been making waves. He recently shared a vlog on his YouTube channel, Curious Mike, detailing his first day with the Nets. The vlog gained traction, particularly in Denver, due to his remarks about the multiple practice courts at the HSS Training Center, which he noted are double the number available at the Nuggets facility in Ball Arena. It's akin to the Nets being relegated to a small gym behind a pizza place. In his tour, MPJ highlighted several player amenities that are not available in Denver. The HSS Training Center is one of the most advanced facilities in the NBA, while the Nuggets setup is nearing obsolescence. While some may downplay the significance of such differences, Porter Jr. emphasized the importance of having a top-notch gym for player development, stating, "I'm going to be in here all the time." This sentiment was music to the ears of Irina Pavlova, president of Onyxim Sports Entertainment, who oversaw the construction of the $52 million facility that opened in February 2016. That's exactly what we aimed for. In closing, here's a lighthearted note. Good morning at NBA. I was wondering if any teams had a training camp spot for a kind chap like myself. I'm like an SUV. I've got a lot of travel miles, but for the long haul, long season, you can count on me. I also ensure good airflow among the team and can guard just about anyone. Rondé is now 30 and playing in the Philippines. Rondé is now 30 and playing in the Philippines. Nets revamp. Projected starting lineup for 2025-26 NBA season revealed. The Brooklyn Nets are gearing up for an exciting 2025-26 NBA season, and their off-season has been nothing short of eventful. With a flurry of activity during the 2025 NBA draft and free agency, the Nets have made significant changes to their roster. They made history by selecting 5 players in the draft, a record for the franchise, and also executed trades to acquire seasoned veterans like forward Terrence Mann from the Atlanta Hawks and forward Michael Porter Jr. from the Denver Nuggets. As the Nets continue their ambitious rebuilding phase, which began last summer with the trade of guard Mikal Bridges to the New York Knicks for multiple first-round picks, they are focused on infusing young talent into their lineup. After concluding the 2024-25 season with a disappointing 26-56 record, the team is determined to address its weaknesses and build a more competitive roster. Currently, the Nets have 18 players on their roster, although this number includes forward Zaire Williams and center Day'Ron Sharpe, whose re-signings are still pending. For the purpose of projecting the starting lineup for the upcoming season, it is assumed that guard Cam Thomas will eventually re-sign with the team. Point guard Igor Demin. At this stage of the offseason, the Nets have several candidates vying for the starting point guard position, including Igor Demin, who was the 8th overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. In addition to Demin, general manager Sean Marks has also brought in Nolan Traoré and Ben Siroth, both of whom will compete for the coveted starting PG role. Shooting guard, Cam Thomas. As of now, Cam Thomas remains unsigned, but the trajectory of his free agency suggests that a return to Brooklyn is likely, barring any unexpected developments before training camp. There are indications that Thomas may not secure the financial terms he desires this summer, which could influence the nature of his negotiations with the Nets and ultimately shape the team's performance next season. Small forward Michael Porter Jr. The small forward position is one to watch closely as the season approaches, especially with head coach Jordi Fernandez having multiple options for both forward spots. Currently, Porter appears to be a solid choice for the starting lineup. If he plays as a small forward, it could allow Noah Clowney to maintain his role as the starting power forward. Conversely, if Porter is positioned at power forward, it opens the door for either Mann or Williams to step in as the starting small forward. Power forward Noah Clowney. Noah Clowney demonstrated notable improvement in his game last season, particularly in his ability to shoot from beyond the arc after being encouraged to adopt a more offensive role. However, he faced challenges with injuries and must continue to develop his strength and finishing skills around the basket, especially when defenders close in on him after he steps beyond the three-point line. Center Nick Claxton. Like Thomas and Porter, Nick Claxton is almost assured a spot in the starting lineup, given his status as one of the team's top players and his considerable experience. Coming off another commendable season in the NBA, Claxton is expected to anchor the center position, provided he remains with the team at the start of the season. This offseason has set the stage for a transformative year for the Nets. But how will these changes impact their performance? Will the infusion of young talent and seasoned veterans lead to a turnaround in their fortunes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Brooklyn Nets 2025-26 Depth Chart Breakdown. Off-season moves predictions. Drama, intrigue, and a roster full of fresh faces. That's the story of the Brooklyn Nets entering the 2025-26 NBA season. If you thought the Nets were just coasting after their superstar era, think again. Their off-season maneuvers have left fans, analysts, and even rival GMs guessing, especially after a draft and trade spree that few saw coming. But here's where it gets really interesting. Will these bold moves be the catalyst for a new era of Nets basketball, or just more fodder for internet debate? Heading into the 2025 NBA draft, Brooklyn was sitting pretty with 4 first-round picks, more than enough ammunition to either inject youth or engineer an impactful trade. Unexpectedly, the Nets swung a deal with the Atlanta Hawks, nabbing not only a 5th first-rounder, but also forward Terrence Mann. This kind of draft capital left many inside league circles confident that Brooklyn would consolidate those picks to climb the draft board or snatch up a rising star. And this is the part most people miss. Against expectations, Brooklyn held on to every single selection, making 5 first-round picks, headlined by taking dynamic BYU guard Igor Demon at number 8. Was it bold? Was it reckless? Nets fans are still debating. After the draft excitement, the Nets stayed aggressive. They flipped forward Cam Johnson to Denver in exchange for the talented Michael Porter Jr., plus a future first-round pick in 2032. With the bulk of the offseason activity wrapping up, it's time to piece together the shape of the new-look Nets, from potential starting 5 to key reserves for the 2025-26 campaign. For the sake of this breakdown, let's go ahead and assume the Nets re-sign restricted free agent guard Cam Thomas, since there's little buzz about him leaving and Brooklyn has every incentive to keep a promising young scorer in the fold. Point guard starter Igor Demon. Bench Nolan Traore, Ben Seraph. Under new head coach Jordi Fernandez, there may be some flexibility with who initiates the offense, especially given Brooklyn's love for positionless basketball. However, logic points to rookie Igor Demon, alongside fellow youngsters Nolan Traore and Ben Seraph, taking center stage at the point, while others, like Thomas or Keon Johnson, might handle the ball in spots. The team's long-term interest lies in letting these dedicated guards log heavy developmental minutes at the position. Is this sink-or-swim approach brilliant or risky? Let's hear your thoughts below. Shooting guard starter, Cam Thomas. Bench, Terrence Mann, Dariq Whitehead, Keon Johnson, Tyson Etienne. Assuming a straightforward resolution to Thomas's restricted free agency, there's little question he'll lead this group. With his scoring punch and the promise of consistency, Thomas could thrive, especially if he's motivated by a fresh contract. Supporting him are the versatile Terrence Mann, whose defensive energy could be pivotal, and a deep bench of capable wings and prospects. The only potential worry? Whether any of these reserves can step up and seize a larger role if Thomas goes cold. Small forward starter, Michael Porter Jr. Bench, Zaire Williams, Tyrese Martin, Drake Powell, Tosan Evbuomwan. Here's where the Nets' newfound flexibility gets tested. Porter Jr., acquired for Johnson, is fully capable of sliding between the 3 and 4 spot. If he stays at small forward, it could unlock more minutes for rising big Noah Clowney at power forward, letting Brooklyn see what their young core can really do. Alternatively, there's an argument to be made for starting Williams at the 3 and shifting Porter Jr. to the 4. But will Fernandez gamble on pure potential or side with proven scoring? Power forward starter, Noah Clowney. Bench, Jalen Wilson, Danny Wolf. Should Porter settle into the 3, Clowney almost automatically lands at power forward. After making real strides in the 2024-25 season, Clowney's earned the chance to prove he's more than just a stretch 4. Though his finishing and strength against physical defenders still need work, will the Nets commit fully to his development or pivot if they start slow? That's sure to be a talking point all season. Center starter, Nick Claxton. Bench, Day'Ron Sharpe, Drew Timme. There's no real controversy here. Nick Claxton should anchor the starting lineup at center, having earned that spot with 3 solid years of rim protection and energy, dating back to his run with the Nets' old guard. But backup minutes are up for grabs. Will Day'Ron Sharpe's NBA experience trump Drew Timme, who turned heads during an impressive showing at the 2025 Summer League? So Nets fans and basketball junkies, has Brooklyn struck the perfect balance of youth, upside, and star potential? Or have they rolled the dice too brazenly, risking more years of mediocrity? Is this a playoff team in the making, or an experiment doomed from the start? Drop your takes, or hot takes, in the comments. We want to hear every side of the argument.